there is any question, I'm here.
Submission to completion? Is it 60 days? Generally, how long has it taken to get plans approved and permitted?
If your plans are complete and accurate, and if you are not going back and forth with the reviewers to go to the clarification mode, we will approve the permit hopefully within 2 to 3 weeks. Our normal review time is 2 weeks, okay? And I will also add in that even on the inspection side also, our inspection time is 24 hours. So once you called in an inspection, most inspections, and I'm proud to say that we are able to do it within 8 to 10 hours, okay? But we request 24 hours notice. Any other question? All right, thank you.
Great. I've found this myself personally extremely informative, so hopefully the same for everyone else. Right now we're going to take a break, but before we take a break, a couple of things I need to share with you. One, I would be remiss. I noticed that it's probably good to know we do have a new team member to our department. And
promised Naresh, for us, we asked for 2 weeks, but again, it usually doesn't take that long. For people who dealt with Terminal D, I think it went very smoothly, very quickly. We essentially, all the plans came in almost at one time, so we did about 30 plan reviews within about 2 weeks, give or plus. So it went pretty well if we get them in. And just like Naresh said, if they're complete, it goes much faster. A couple things, if you're in the design, and of course this is for architects, designers, and owners of establishments, because when I look at a set of plans, I usually deal with an architect or maybe a designer, but I don't always know who the operator is. And it's very important in our review to deal with the operator, because a lot of these things that we'll go through is, as you can see, they're more for an operator than a designer for the most part. So you want to take a look at your space. Sometimes if people are moving here from a street side establishment, okay, you've seen that, okay, I got a much smaller space. You may not be able to follow the same menu, okay? So just be aware of those kind of things. Employees, can they support the menu, okay? Sometimes when I step into one of the establishments, I'm really the fifth wheel. I can barely get into the establishment, so everything's maxed out in all the spaces. So you want to make sure that your employees can support the menu. When we do a plan review, we look at the equipment layout, how it's going to be used. So we want to make sure that there's good flow. We look at flow of food and we look at flow of personnel. Okay, so that's what our plan review is involved in. And another important one more for operators, but if you're going to have a grab and go, there are some specific permitting requirements for those. So if you plan on a grab to go, get with me so I can get you that information. Some basic, real quick information for operators. Will you be preparing any food in advance, or will there be leftover foods? Will foods be delivered from the site? Some foods are prepared off-site and brought to the airport, so we want to be able to address those. Handling of ready-to-eat food with bare hands, there's some very specific requirements on those, so you want to contact us on those. And then the airport does a terrific job of coordinating food manager and food safety training, okay? So that's probably the way we'll stay, but that's something we want to, if you have any of your training that occurs off-site, you just want to contact me on that. Some real nuts and bolts, properly sized 3-compartment sinks, at least one hand sink. You probably know this, from operating with health departments. One of the most important things we look at is the location of that hand sink or hand sinks. Okay, so if you're designing a kitchen, that's one of the most important things we look at. When I get a set of plans, first thing I do is identify where the hand sinks are, and then I look at the equipment and the flow. Supporting equipment, personal item storage. again, you're going to be real limited in space, okay? So some important things to look at is, you know, if our employees bring in purses, coats, any kind of other personal items, okay, that should be addressed during the planning stage also, okay? A lot of times when I go into establishment, there's coats and other items, places where they shouldn't be from a food safety point of view, so that should be at least part of the design. Same as chemicals, floorboard ceiling design, all this is basic. I want to mention pest control prevention and action plan. Okay, we all know that we've had to deal with some problems in the airport. We hope that during this construction we can take care of a lot of those problems. So this is, again, for the operators, but what kind of action plan can we have in place to prevent any kind of insects or rodents? Hopefully, I bring those up because we want to keep them out, and if we have a good plan from the very beginning, we can address those. The health department has some specific requirements for posters, permitting, or hang their permits, and that should be part of the design also, because there's a lot of information that goes up on the walls for employees that are required to be there by law or ordinance, okay? So that should be taken into account where you're going to be storing those things. And that's basically it. So I did that real quickly. I don't know how many questions you are. I'll go ahead and take questions if you have any for me. All right. Say again? Okay, will I do a site visit? Yes. Kind of like just like Naresh says, try to give me as much advance notice as possible. Are you talking pre-construction or during construction? Sure. The meeting that Naresh talked about where you're going to sit down with the reviewers, okay, I think I'm going to be part of that, okay? So you can bring questions for me during those briefings, okay? When construction starts, make sure that your contractor has my name and phone number, okay? Because a lot of times they'll ask for inspections, they'll go through the airport, and they don't always ask for the health department or think that if they contact the airport that I come out automatically. Our office is downtown Fort Worth, okay, and if with a little bit of notice, I can be out here pretty quickly to do those. And I can come out as many times as you like during construction, okay? One of the important things I put out during my review is that at any time, if there's any changes or problems that you encounter, okay, get a hold of, I would say, anybody doing reviews, okay? But get a hold of me as soon as possible so we can work those out, okay? Sometimes we just find some problems that, hey, this is where it said to put this item on paper, but we can't quite get it in there, so we want to discuss those. So yes, I can come out anytime during construction. When you start looking at your final inspections, okay, I'm going to be part of the final inspections, and we want to make sure everything's all right for that TCO. All right. So I'll come out as many times as it is necessary. Okay, anything else? With respect to permits, pending board approval, okay, we are looking at currently we do not have a plan review fee, but our plan review fee is going to be $50 if that does get passed by the board. So I don't know, be ready for that one. Okay, I think $50 is probably a pretty good price. Right now it's nothing, so the sooner you get in, the better. So, but in respect to, we don't give out a building permit. So when you submit plans, I do the review, I send a letter. If there's any problems, I usually give you a call and say, hey, we need to fix this. I try to get it fixed as quickly as possible. I'll send out a letter that says the plans are approved, okay? And then after that, it's connecting with your contractor, okay? And essentially about a week prior to expected operation is when we would expect the operators to pay for their actual food service permit.